Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is your Bodega Cat Book Club Health Edition. And today we're continuing our reading of Vibrational Medicine by Dr. Richard Gerber, MD, medical doctor. The book we're using is the third edition, and I apologize for the glare. I'm going to try and unglare it as much as I can. But anyways, this book was inspired by a phrase or a saying by a very famous scientist, Nikola Tesla. If you haven't heard of Nikola Tesla, I encourage you to check him out on YouTube. He's got lots of videos about him. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, that in order to understand the universe, in order to know the secrets of the universe or to understand the universe or something like that, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency. So this book club was inspired by that. Actually, the reading of this book is what I meant to say. It was inspired by that phrase. So I think we are in a very interesting change in terms of the healthcare system and things about health, things like that. So I think it's important for us to understand the next level of healthcare, if there is such a phase, I guess. So, anyways, before we begin, I want to welcome those who are new. Welcome to our channel. For those who are returning, welcome back. If you like what we do here, if you like to read, if you like book clubs, I encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. We have other book clubs as well. On Mondays, we have our spiritual book club, and then Thursdays, we have our financial book clubs. We put all the books that we've read as well as the past and current ones on YouTube, and we have it on a playlist so you guys can just download and listen to it when you're walking your dog or in traffic or, multitasking or whatever. So, yeah, please check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe and comment and all that good stuff. We have other things on our YouTube channel as well. We have Akashic record readings as well as podcasts, and we're working on other content creation all the time. So please check it out and come join us there. And also consider signing up for our free monthly newsletter. Um, and I will leave a link in the description box below as well. So if you want to support us further, I appreciate it very much. You can buy me a coffee, leave a donation, or check out our merch in our shop section on our website. And then lastly, if you are in the Los Angeles area or visiting the LA area, come visit us in person. We have a healing center based. We use we have a healing center that we use technologies based on Nikola Tesla's the scientist that I mentioned earlier in the video, based on his scalar wave research for holistic healing for both animals, domestic cats and dogs, as well as humans. So you could check out our website, read more about it, learn about the technology, and come join us in person. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to get to know you. And yeah, and we appreciate you in whatever way, shape, or form that you guys support us. So that's enough of the advertisements. So let us get to the meat, meat and potato of the video. Okay, so this is Vibrational Medicine, and this will be chapter 3, part 1. So the author is a physician. So some of his tone, the tone that he wrote in is a little medical, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So it's not good, it's not bad, it's neither, it's just a little observation as a reader, an amateur reader, I have to add. I'm not a professional reader in any way, shape, or form. I get tired easy. I make a lot of mistakes. So thank you for putting up with me and all my all my flaws. Okay. All right. If you have a book, you can follow with us there. If not, you can follow with us here on camera. So let's get right to it. This is chapter 3, part 1. The earliest beginnings of medical energetic approaches, the birth of vibrational medicine. Let me see if I can move the camera in a little bit closer for people who are hard to see like me. Let's see. Oh, okay, not that much. That's good. Okay, here we go. Within certain subspecialties of conventional medicine, the groundwork for a shift from the Newtonian pharmacokinetic approach to an Einsteinian view of pure energetic healing is presently being formulated. This permutation from conventional drug and surgical therapy to electromagnetic healing represents the beginnings of a revolution in consciousness for the medical profession. In the new age that is nearly upon us, healer physicians will begin to comprehend that the human organism is a series of interacting multidimensional energy fields. Energetic perspectives on living systems will provide the necessary evolutionary impetus for great strides in medical understanding of the higher dimensions of human health and illness. New methods of faster diagnosis will become available. Specialized systems of energetic healing will be designed that will prove more effective and less toxic to the human body than presently accepted drug and surgical approaches. Doctors have moved slowly and cautiously in advancing the medical understanding of human beings from old Newtonian nuts and bolts models to an electromagnetic appreciation of life. To appreciate the transition in medical thinking from the Newtonian to the Einsteinian viewpoint, we must trace the historical development of electromagnetic applications in medicine. The discovery and development of X-rays. Early medical models of using energy for diagnosis and treatment. One discovery that aided modern medicine and opened new windows on a more penetrating observation of human anatomy was the diagnostic application of X-rays. X-rays provided a critical look into a previously unseen world within the human body. Along with the development of diagnostic X-ray equipment has come the evolution of our understanding of electromagnetic radiation biophysics. Early experimentation with electromagnetic fields caused researchers to shift their focus from a world of physical, chemical, cellular reactions to one of the biological systems in continuous interaction with a radio um, sorry, radiational environment. Hmm. The application of X-rays in diagnosis made the utilization of electromagnetic fields in medicine a commonplace procedure. X-rays allowed us to extend our vision into a new frequency realm, thus extending the sensitivities of our perceptive abilities beyond our normal ranges. Yet, along with this tremendous gift for peering into the human structure, came the destructive side effects of radiation. Ironically, Madame Curie, who first gave the world radium, died from radiation poisoning. Even eventually, though, X-rays were put to therapeutic use and have become a powerful tool against diseases such as cancer. A whole new world of therapeutic radiology and its subspecialty, radiation oncology, has evolved from these early beginnings. Therapeutic radiology is a discipline which is based on the knowledge of how electromagnetic radiation affects living cells. In such applicants as the treatment of cancer, the question of cell damage is a critical one. For physicians to deliver a therapeutic dose of radiation to a malignant tumor, they must know not only the effects of the energy on the cancer, but also the radiation tolerance of the surrounding normal tissue cells. The search for ways of targeting this energy specifically to abnormal cells has pushed radiation oncologists to look for more exotic systems of energy delivery. From the simple cobalt machine to the linear accelerator, new ways of delivering therapeutic doses of energy to the body have become more and more sophisticated. But X-rays are only a part of the transition in medicine toward utilizing energy in healing. An exploration of the therapeutic uses of electricity furthers our model of the understanding and treatment of human beings from an energetic perspective. And just a side note, I was a hospice nurse for over 25 years, so I see a lot of the effects of chemotherapy and radiation and such treatments on my patients. And it's interesting how the treatment of cancer hasn't changed in over at least 50 years, if not more. They have um, the quote unquote standard therapy is surgery, which is cut your body, radiation, which is burn your body, and chemo, which is poison your body. So it's interesting how they don't, I'm a big believer of if you allow the body or give the body enough the right nutrients or the right environment, the body heals itself automatically. There was a story of, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard stories of people having stage 4 cancer and they moved into, the rural areas, into nature, into the woods, and the cancer just healed itself. No treatment whatsoever. Interesting, eh? Anyways, leave me your thoughts. That'd be interesting to see what you think and what your experiences are. But all right. Okay. Um, but what I wanted to say was that part of our treatment of chemo, which is poison, radiation, which is burn, and surgery, which is cut, is part of the death cult that we live in. Hmm. All right. Okay, enough of that. Continue. Electrotherapy from suppressing pain to healing fractures. The use of electricity for therapy is not new to medicine. People have attempted to use electricity for healing since ancient times. Several old medical texts, for example, listed the use of electrical fishes and eels as accepted forms of medical therapy. Prescribed treatment involved applying the electrical fish directly to the patient's body. The crude but effective delivery of an electrical discharge to the human body was felt to have therapeutic value in a variety of conditions. Only within the 20th century has electricity become so readily available that its therapeutic applications could be extensively explored. One application of electrotherapy which has recently come of age is the use of electrical stimulation for the relief of pain. Early devices such as dorsal column stimulators designed by Dr. Norman Shealy. There is an endnote for that, and we won't get into the endnotes at the back of the book because it's usually just where they, the source that they found it in. So if you have a book, you can check that out if you want to do a little bit more deep dive or rabbit hole. You're welcome to do that. But I am just going to indicate here that there is a endnote for Dr. Norman Shealy and his device. So, all right, just a side note there. Okay, Dr. Norman Shealy, a neurosurgeon in Wisconsin, were implanted within the spinal cords of patients with intractable pain syndromes. One might consider this a combined Newtonian, which is surgical, and Einsteinian, which is energetic approach. The dorsal columns are long nerve tracts within the spinal cord that transmit pain and sensory information from the body to the brain. The generally accepted reasoning behind the effectiveness of these spinal electrostimulators relates to a theory proposed for the understanding of acupuncture analgesia. The so-called gate control theory proposed by Melzack and Wall, and there is another endnote here, suggests that acupuncture stimulation of peripheral nerves at a level above the entry of the pain impulse into the spinal cord causes the closing of the pain relay gate. Electrical nerve impulses traversing this gate carry ascending pain and sensory information to the brain. By shutting the gate, the pain impulses are blocked from making their normal ascent to the central nervous system where they are interpreted. The dorsal column stimulator, when placed on the spinal cord at the level above the entry of the pain impulses, was said to close the gate electrically and block further ascension of pain messages to the brain. Spinal cord electrostimulation was carried one step further with the creation of therapeutic systems known as TNS devices or transcutaneous nerve stimulators. Based on the same principle as the gate control theory, these electrical devices produce weak electrical pulses that go to skin electrodes, stimulating cutaneous nerves that carry sensory information via the spinal cord to the brain. Rather than interacting with the gate mechanism through a spinally implanted system, the TNS devices accomplish pain gate closure through stimulation of cutaneous nerves which enter the spinal cord at levels above the entry of the noxious pain impulses. Applying external electrical currents to the skin presents a safer and simpler procedure for pain control than having to perform a neurosurgical procedure. The TNS electrostimulators provide purely energetic treatment for symptoms of physical pain in a way that goes beyond conventional drugs and surgery. A curious discovery arose from basic research into TNS control of pain. Researchers reported that the weak electrical currents which were applied to the skin could give more efficient pain control if the electrodes were applied to specialized areas of the skin. These special areas turned out to be classical acupuncture points where traditional acupuncture needle stimulation similarly produced analgesia or pain relief. It has since been demonstrated that acupuncture analgesia is at least partially mediated by the release within the nervous system of natural pain-killing substances known as endorphins. And there is an end note about the endorphins there. Endorphins, or endogeneously generated morphines, are the brain's own opium-like painkillers. These chemicals, only discovered in the mid-1970s, were found to have powerful effects in suppressing pain. The reason that drugs like morphine and heroin have pain-killing effects on the nervous system is that they bind to specialized opiate or endorphin receptors within the brain. Many opiate receptors are found along pathways in the brain that carry pain messages. Activation of these receptors by internally generated endorphins or externally administered narcotics will have the same effect of inhibiting the transmission of pain signals to the central nervous system. Narcotic antagonists such as lanoxin are in turn able to inhibit the effects of endorphins by blocking their ability to bind to these opiate receptors. Experiments have shown that endorphin blocking agents like naloxone reduce the effectiveness of acupuncture needle-induced analgesia, as well as the pain-relieving effects of low-frequency electrostimulation of acupuncture points. This would suggest that pain relief achieved by classical needle acupuncture and electrostimulation of acupuncture points involves the release of endorphins within the nervous system. Endorphins do not tell the entire story, however. Interestingly, high frequency electrical stimulation of acupuncture points for pain relief seems to be relatively unaffected by naloxone, but is inhibited by the administration of serotonin antagonists. A lot of medical words here today. Okay. Spinal gate mechanisms and manipulation of neurochemicals such as endorphins and serotonin add further pieces towards solving the complex puzzle of electrotherapy success in suppressing pain. Such electrical approaches attempt to activate the body's unique mechanisms for self healing and pain control. Whatever the explanation, specialized modulation and targeting of electricity through TNS systems demonstrates physicians' growing ability to manipulate a wide spectrum of electromagnetic energies for healing and relief of suffering. Perhaps the most revolutionary application of electrotherapy is in stimulating the body's innate capacity for tissue regeneration. Research pioneered by Dr. Robert O. Becker, an orthopedic surgeon in New York, has revealed fascinating information about how electrical currents within the nervous system mediate tissue repair and regeneration. The most widespread application of this research has been in the area of accelerated healing of bone fractures by externally applied electromagnetic fields. Becker's original work dealt with a phenomenon known as the current of injury. An example of this current of injury is the electrical potential that can be measured across the stump of an amputated limb in an experimental animal. Becker found that he could surgically remove a limb from a test animal and measure changes in the electrical potential on subsequent days of wound healing and repair. In studying the complex process of tissue regeneration, Becker examined the differences in repair mechanisms between salamanders and frogs. Because frogs and salamanders are an evolutionary stage apart, salamanders can regrow whole new limbs from the remaining amputated stump, whereas frogs cannot. Frogs appear to have lost this evolutionary potential somewhere along their genetic ascendance on the amphibian family tree. Becker was intensely interested in slight electrical differences between the current of injury measured in stumps of salamanders that could regrow new arms and in the frog counterparts that could not. Becker surgically amputated the arms of salamanders and frogs and then used electrodes to measure the electrical potential at the point of tissue healing. The frogs showed a positive electrical potential, which gradually drifted with time to a neutral or zero potential as the stump healed over. The salamanders, however, after producing an initial positive potential similar to the frogs, showed a reverse in polarity to negative potential. This negative injury potential gradually drifted back to zero over a period of days as the salamander regrew an entirely new limb. Okay, here is a diagram. Let me move the camera out just a little here so you guys can see the whole thing. Okay. All right, this is diagram 8, monitoring the current of injury in experimental amputation. So we got the frog on one side on the left, on my left, and then the salamander on the other side, which is my right. Okay, so here is the amputated frog and the line that says healed. I'm trying to describe this for people who are just listening to the best of my ability. If you have a book, you could look at the picture. So on the side here, there's an electrical potential across stump, which is the current of injury. There's the negative on the top and then the positive on the bottom. And the zero is where the frog was amputated and eventually healed. Also, where the salamander was amputated and eventually healed. So, in the bottom, it says end result equals healed stump. Is that plus? I can't really tell. Oops. Healed stump and end result equals new arm. I don't know what this chart means. I'm not much of a chart person. I know they said pictures paint 1,000 words, but I don't know, it just not quite click with my brain for some reason. Some charts I can sort of understand, but charts are not really my thing. Okay, let me move the camera in a little bit so we can continue. All right. All right, continuing. The only apparent difference between the two injury currents was that the salamander, who could regrow a new limb, showed a swing in potential from positive to negative. Becker wondered if artificially delivering a negative potential across the frog's healing stump would affect the outcome. This he did. This he did. Oh, okay. Sorry. This he did. Oh boy. And to his surprise, the frog grew an entirely new limb. And there is a footnote about that. So it sounds like just based on electrostimulation of positive and negative, you could grow a limb. You know, um, I bet humans can do that too, growing limbs back. It's just a theory. I don't know, but it certainly is very interesting. I think, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. If we observe Mother Nature, whatever happens or uh, whatever is possible in Mother Nature is possible for us humans. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like salamanders growing limbs or frogs, if you stimulate them the right way, growing limbs, humans can be the same way. So interesting, eh? I don't know. What do you think? Is it possible? Is it not? Can we fly like Superman? Maybe with the right electrostimulation? I don't know. I'm just kind of brainstorming and going out there for a little bit. So, anyways, let me know what you think. I'd be very interested. All right, let's continue. The idea of using electrostimulation to regrow new limbs or organs is a revolutionary one. Whether this electrical stimulation primarily affects cellular-based repair mechanisms or whether it is possibly releasing the holographic potential of the etheric body cannot be said for certain at this time. Becker has attempted to utilize Kirlian recording techniques to photograph the animal analog of the phantom leaf effect in animal limbs following amputation. Unfortunately, his attempts to this area have been unsuccessful to date. Possible reasons for this will be explored later in this book when we take a closer look at the implications of Kirlian photographic systems. Becker's work has also uncovered new mechanisms of information transmission within the nervous system that may be part of a healing feedback loop. This system seems to involve the glial and Schwann cell network that surrounds most of the nerves throughout the body. The Schwann cells form an insulative sheath around most peripheral nerves. The bodies of the Schwann cells are separated by tiny gaps at regular intervals known as nodes of Ranvier. Ranvier. Sorry, butchered that. It sounds like French. Um, Along with action potentials are propagated. Action potentials are the electrical nerve impulses which travel along nerve fibers or axons to relay messages. Glial and Schwann cells were originally thought to be strictly nutritive to the nearby nerves. But Becker's work suggests that both types of cells may be information transmitters. Becker's studies also indicate that the information is transmitted along the glial and Schwann cells via slow analog changes in direct current rather than via rapid changes in the digital pulse code of action potentials as traditionally observed in nerve transmission. Boy, that's a lot of medical mumbo jumbo over there. Okay, so there is a footnote about this. Footnote 4.5. Okay. The significant research findings of Dr. Becker and more recently Dr. Andrew Bassett. There's another footnote there about him. Have resulted in the widespread application of electromagnetic devices to accelerate the healing of fractured bones. Early animal studies utilized surgical implantation of electrodes into the limbs of horses with broken bones. The bone electrodes, connected to special power supplies, pulsed weak electrical currents across the fracture site. The resulting remarkable healings of difficult fractures in animals have led to successful human applications, especially in situations where amputation of a limb for non-union of fractures, which is lack of bone mending, was the only alternative. Uh, sorry, burped there a little bit. Okay, sorry about that. As in the case of dorsal column stimulator, the surgical implantation of electrodes was shown to be unnecessary. The external application of weak electromagnetic fields across the fracture site, actually placed over the plaster cast, appears to be all that is needed to get the desired healing outcome. Specialized electrodes are worn over the cast, usually during sleep for periods of weeks to months, until x-rays show complete healing. Some of the remarkable findings which have emerged from these studies in tissue regeneration have shed new light on energetic cellular mechanisms of healing and repair. Becker has been a pioneer in the newly developed field of bioelectronics. He looks at cellular mechanisms from the perspective of electronics and cybernetic systems and has found that at the level of the single cell, microcrystalline and other cellular sub-elements may be involved in the modulation of intracellular electrical currents in a way similar to semiconductor circuitry. Certain cellular elements, such as membranes, can be seen to act as capacitors. Other internal structures, including mitochondria, with their electron transport chains, can be viewed as tiny batteries or electrical power sources. The implication is that there may be electronic switching and transmission systems within and between cells. Okay, here is a direct quote. Quote, under present biological conditions, development in living bodies from earliest inception follows unicellular semiconductivity, as in living piezoelectric matrix. Primitive basic, uh, primitive basic tissues, glia, satellite, and Schwann cells are supportive to the neurons in the human system where the primary source is electrical. This has been especially shown in bone growth response to mechanical stress and to fractures, which have been demonstrated to have characteristics of control systems using electricity. Oh, sorry about that. Um, okay. I hope you saw that. I'm sorry I moved the book and it went out of the um, camera, whatever you call it, box, whatever. Okay. All right, continue. The stimulation of cartilage regeneration by current magnetic injection, the restoration of partial limb regeneration by small direct currents, the stimulation of bone growth by electrical fields, the inhibition of growth of implanted tumors in mammals by electrical currents are all a part of electromedicine. Electromedicine is a science which harnesses the cellular electrophysiological energies by using the right electromagnetic field. End quote. And there is an end note about that you guys can check out. The controls for cellular replication may also involve these bioelectronic switching mechanisms. Cancer is a prime example of a disorder in which cellular replication has gone awry, with massive overproduction of abnormal tumor cells. Studies of electrical effects on implanted tumors, melanoma B16 in mice at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, have suggested that electrical currents may enhance cancer-killing effects of conventional chemotherapy. Mice with melanoma that were exposed to special electrical currents and chemotherapy survived nearly twice as long as cancer-ridden mice given chemotherapy alone. And there is a footnote, endnote about that. Albert Sant, oh, okay, sorry, I'm gonna butcher his name. Albert Zant Georgi. Okay, all right. Dr. Albert, maybe Mr. Albert, right? The discoverer of vitamin C is exploring the implications of the bioelectronic model in understanding cancer. Okay, here we go again. Georgi feels that the problem with cancer is not that cells are replicating themselves, since replication is natural. The abnormality of cancer cells may lie within faulty electronic switching mechanisms which cannot turn off the replicating process. The mouse melanoma experiments suggest that electrical currents and electromagnetic fields may be able to manipulate these abnormal electronic switching devices or switching mechanisms in an energetic approach to treating cancer. Another researcher of electrotherapeutic approaches to cancer is Dr. Bjorn Nordenstrom. Butchered that name too. Sorry about that. Head of diagnostic radiology at Stockholm's Karolinska Institute. Over the last several decades, Dr. Nordenstrom has been exploring the use of specially applied electrical currents to treat cancer. In a limited number of patients, Dr. Nordenstrom has been successful in producing complete remission from various types of cancers metastatic to the lung. And there are a couple of endnotes about that. Additionally, Nordenstrom is recognized as one of the world pioneers in X-ray guided needle biopsies of the lung. He utilizes similar X-ray techniques to assist the placement of platinum needle electrodes into isolated lung tumors. Electrical currents up to 10 volts are then delivered to the platinum electrodes for varying periods of time. Utilizing this system of electrotherapy, Nordenstrom has been able to produce tumor regression and complete remission in a significant number of cases considered untreatable by other cancer therapies. Nordenstrom has postulated a number of mechanisms to explain why electrotherapy may be successful in destroying tumors. He discovered that white blood cells carry a negative electrical charge. These tumor-fighting lymphocytes, he suggests, are drawn to the site of the cancer by the positive electrical charge of the platinum electrode in the center of the metastatic lesion. A second negative electrode is placed into normal tissue adjacent to the tumor. The resulting electrical field induces ionic tissue changes and buildup of acids in the local environment of the tumor, which are detrimental to the cancer cells. These effects are similar to the acid buildup on the electrodes of a car battery. The increased acidity also locally destroys red blood cells and damages their hemoglobin, thus depriving the cancer cells of life-giving oxygen. Additionally, Nordenstrom postulates that the positive electrical field moves water out of the tumor, shrinks it, and swells the surrounding tissue. This swollen tissue puts pressure on local blood vessels and blocks the flow of blood to the tumor. Dr. Nordenstrom feels that bioelectrical circuits are part of an undiscovered circulatory system in the body. These natural electrical circuits become switched on by injury, infections, tumors, and even by the normal activity of the body's organs. Electrical currents course through arteries and veins and across capillary walls while drawing white blood cells and metabolic compounds into and out of surrounding tissues. Nordenstrom has built up his theories around a sophisticated look at the current of injury, a phenomenon that has also interested Dr. Becker and others. Nordenstrom, like other bioenergetic researchers, agrees that disturbances in the bioelectrical network of the body may be involved in the development of cancer and other diseases. New models for understanding illness. Excuse me, I burped. Did it again. Okay. Take a deep breath, Christina. All right. New models for understanding illness, such as the bioelectronic model, may provide unique new ways of reversing the processes of disease by intervening at a primary causative cellular level. Although it is somewhat similar to the allopathic model of drug receptor interaction, the bioelectronic model may provide purely energetic methods of treating illness at the cellular level. Is it possible that electromagnetic fields, as applied to healing bone fractures, killing tumor cells, and regenerating tissue, may work by invoking the naturally existing bioelectronic mechanisms of defense and repair within cells? At least at a physical tissue level, this is likely the case. Interestingly, the frequency of energy utilized for treatment appears to be a critical element for successful therapy. Regarding the healing of fractured bones, researchers have found that the frequency of the pulsed electromagnetic fields to which the bone is exposed is a key factor. Even a tiny shift in frequency can mean the difference between having the osteocytes in the bone lay down new calcium matrix or reabsorb and remove bone. Thus, a slight shift in the energetic frequency delivered can either strengthen or break down the bone tissue. In addition to using electromagnetic fields for reducing pain, shrinking tumors, and accelerating the mending of broken bones, there are additional treatment approaches which utilize pure magnetic fields for healing. Recently, medical researchers in Poland have documented the effectiveness of using high-frequency magnetic fields to treat rheumatoid and degenerative arthritis. And there is a footnote about, or endnote about that. Studies conducted at Sniadecki Hospital in Włocławek, sorry, I butchered that, in Poland. It's a hospital in Poland. Have confirmed that magnetic field therapy is an important new addition to the available physiotherapeutic methods for the treatment of arthritis. In most cases, magnetic field therapy was able to decrease pain intensity, reduce swelling, and improve joint mobility. Over a 2-year period, rheumatologists and rehabilitation specialists treated 189 patients with rheumatoid arthritis, RA, and degenerative joint diseases, DJD, using high-frequency magnetic field pulses emitted by a Polish-made TerraPulse GS200 apparatus. The dose was varied from patient to patient, depending on the size of the joint, thickness of the fat overlying the joint, and the particular disease process. Patients received 1 to 2 treatments per day for 20 to 25 minutes, and 10 to 15 sessions constituted a course of treatment. Researchers found that 73% of patients with RA and 67% of patients with DJD had significant improvement following magnetic therapy, compared with a control group treated with only shortwave diathermy, in which only 44.6% improved. Other European, Indian, and American researchers have reported successes in using different variations. Oh, sorry. Let me move the book up a little bit. Other European, Indian, and American researchers have reported successes in using different variations of magnetic field therapy to treat a variety of disorders. As we shall see in later chapters, the effectiveness of magnetic fields for healing has unique implications for less conventional forms of energy therapy. The advent of electromedicine and magnetic field therapy has provided new ways of treating pain and illness, but it has also given us new insights into the cellular mechanisms of healing. It is but a gradual shift away from the traditional allopathic model of drugs and therapy for the treatment of human illness toward a more energetic approach. The aforementioned applications of electromagnetic energy to treat human illness may begin to open up the scientific minds of the medical establishment to the possibilities of healing with energy. As we begin to extend our understanding of the wider spectrum of known energies, it will be seen that many of the so-called fringe areas of medicine are, in fact, applying slightly different principles of energy medicine. And the next sentence is italicized, so I'll read it twice. Italicized by the author, so I'll read it twice. The energies being applied here, however, are the subtle energies of the life force itself and its many octaves and harmonics. Again, the energies being applied here, however, are the subtle energies of the life force itself and its many octaves and harmonics. And this next sentence is italicized by the author as well, so I'll read it twice also. The key to convincing scientists of the existence and application of these subtle life energies may well lie in the considerable problem of rendering them visible for study and diagnosis. Again, the key to convincing scientists of the existence and application of these subtle life energies may well lie in the considerable problem of rendering them visible for study and diagnosis. Although Kirlian photography may hold diagnostic potential in this direction, it is far from being widely accepted by mainstream medicine at its present point of development. Within the conventional medical field, there are evolving tools of diagnosis that are leading the way toward this eventual realization. To understand how this is happening, we will need to return to the starting point of this chapter and the discovery and application of X-rays. We'll stop here for now for part 1. I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, he has a medical background, so there's a lot of medical vocabulary and jargons, if you can say that, in there, which isn't really my cup of tea because I'm not really that smart. And I didn't do very well in science when I was in nursing school. I think for me, I'm more, if you could explain something to me like I'm a 5-year-old with cartoons and pictures, then I'm happy. Something easy to understand. Anyways, but this is a good foundational book, I think, a good introduction. But you could take any one of the chapters and just break it apart and study it that way and really digest it. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Let us know what you think, what your thoughts are, some of your experiences. Agree, disagree, things of that nature. We'd love to hear from you. And we will see you next time in our next book club. Okay, bye-bye now.